Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. We all showed up to work today. How are we doing?
You didn't win any. No, you won none. You were so lucky last night. You said that Devin Booker would score 40 or more points. I don't think he even came. How about half of that? Thanks to way to go, Patrick Beverley. And I got robbed. The Clippers got robbed. Should have won the game. Let's talk about it.
Can I borrow a little looking for the homie?
So, how much did you win last night?
We pushed.
Oh, thank you. Then why are you drinking Dew? I'm the only one who should be drinking Dew because I was the one who got robbed.
You ain't get no robbed.
Yes.
You ain't get no robbed. You was celebrating. You thought you had a victory too, didn't you?
I'm worried about the face I'm looking at right
He
now.
thought he had a victory.
Skip, you don't look happy. You do not look
Look at my
happy.
little swimming in the square.
Okay, I heard you
Now we
coming
good.
in. I saw you tweeting last night, Skip. We have a lot to talk about. Skip, Shannon, get ready for this because, yes, we got to talk about that game last night. The Suns and Clippers went down to the wire with an instant classic last night. With all the attention on Devin Booker heading into the game, Deandre Ayton was the hero with 24 points for Phoenix, including the game-winning alley-oop with under a second left that left everyone stunned. Phoenix was only down one at the end because Paul George missed two critical free throws with under 8 seconds to go. Shannon, explain this one to me. What is the biggest reason the Suns won here?
Yep, I believe it was execution by the Suns down the stretch. And remember now, they're doing this without Chris Paul, their leader, the guy that has he has 25, 26 assists and only a handful of turnovers in the playoffs this year. So for them to be able to execute like they did, down the stretch. Because, Skip, if you remember, Paul George hits the 2 free throws. Devin Booker races back up the court. He hits a quick jumper. I think it took like 4 seconds off the clock. PG comes right back, hits a fadeaway, comes right. So, and then now, all of a sudden, they foul PG. You know you got to get stopped because you missed, Devin Booker turned the ball over, Skip. And so now you got to foul PG. And I told you not that dude. Now, Skip Bayless has spent the better part of 5 years calling this man George Paul, says he's a complimentary superstar.
Until this year.
No,
well, that's Indiana George Paul.
You know,
yeah.
He was like that in OKC too. But anyway, you've hitched your wagon to this guy and said, this is the guy that's going to pull us to
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Now you
Is it my turn?
No, it's not your turn just yet. And so for me, I think that was the biggest play. And considering, Skip, you know, after the game, Monty said, we've never practiced that play. And I was close to Deandre Ayton's stat line, Skip. I said 24 and 12. He got 24 and 14. And I didn't really know what happened, Skip, because I was like, did Jay Crowder throw the ball in? I thought he threw the ball in, Skip, because I was as stunned as everybody else. I knew the ball had gone in. But I'm like, did he throw the ball in for out of bounds? That's going to be no good. And then when they go back, I was like, oh, Deandre Ayton, he ended up dunking it home. But, Skip, I think you have to give the Suns credit. Because a lot of times when you lead for as long as they led, and all of a sudden you end up giving the lead up late, a lot of times, we've seen that happen in the playoffs. Teams succumb to that pressure like, okay, well, we saw that with Utah. We saw that with the 76ers. We've seen that a lot. Teams that lead basically for the whole game, and all of a sudden they fall behind and they can't recover. Give the Suns credit. I love what I saw from the Clippers also, Skip. T-Lue got them playing hard. I mean, without Kawhi Leonard, honestly, Skip, I really thought it's like, you know what? Okay, it's going to be a close series, you know, but Chris Paul's going to come back. I'm not so sure even when Chris Paul's come back, they're going to run away with this series, considering what I've seen from the Clippers, minus Kawhi and against Utah. But, Skip, I thought their execution down the stretch, and then Cameron Payne. Skip, what can I say about this kid? He's 18 and 1, 18 assists, 1 turnover, shooting 50% from the floor in the absence of Chris Paul. Now, I'm not saying he's Chris Paul because he's not. We know what Chris Paul is. But I think Monty Williams and this team is very pleased with the play they've gotten from Cameron Payne. So with that being said, I thought it was the execution down the stretch and Cameron Payne, the way he played throughout the series, in this game, was the difference in why they won the game. Give the Clippers credit. I don't believe they're going away. All the Suns did was hold serve at home. Now you got to go try to steal one of these things on the road in the next 4 days.
Now it is my turn. I am devastated by what I watched last night. it was as excruciating as any game I've ever watched.
Worse than Game 6 of your Spurs losing?
It was more extended agony because at least the Spurs in Game 6 in 2013 didn't get robbed.
Right.
At least it came down to the greatest clutch shot I've ever seen. And to your point, that was the greatest inbounds pass I've ever seen, but it was after the fact of the Clippers getting robbed. And I need to apologize publicly to my wife, Ernestine, and my daughter, Hazel, because they had to endure my wrath after that game. I was out of my mind.
Yeah, I can just imagine.
I was screaming. I apologize to those two for some of the language I used because it wasn't pretty. And yet...
Did your neighbors hear you?
Probably woke them up. They go to bed early. But the point is that you got me on one point. Paul George did miss 2 free throws. But in my view, those 2 free throws got rendered irrelevant. And before I leave Paul George, the thing that's getting lost, I'm sure there's a lot of pandemic pee out there.
It is. It deserves so.
But the salvo of scoring, of clutch shot making from Paul George from the 2:41 mark of the fourth quarter down to those 2 missed free throws was off the charts great. It was all-time clutchness. They would not have been in the position to win without Paul George going straight on, full out playoff P. I've never seen anything like it. Having become a fan of his, didn't expect him to do what he did. If we could just see what happened starting at 2:41 left, he made his first 3. But this is like Trae Young, you know, going 5 for 23 and finally making 3 shots in the fourth quarter. Then he goes to the free throw line, and that looked pretty good to me, didn't it? That's 56 seconds left. And that was a little shaky, but it went in, and that cut the lead to 1. And then he comes right back and all the way through to the basket, and he made that, and that gave him a lead by 1. And this is the shot of the night from Paul George. That's going back and forth, tete-a-tete, mano-a-mano with Devin Booker, and he made, that's as clutch as it gets. That put them back up 1.
Correct.
And then, to your point, he goes to the free throw line, and when I expected him to at least make 1, the first one goes up, and it bounces around, and it wants to go in, and then it decides, nah, not tonight, and it falls off. And then he overcompensates on the next one, and he says, I'm going to make sure this is up. I'm going to get this one up. I'm going to make sure, and it hits nothing but iron on the backside. Listen, I'm upset with him a little bit. If he had charged that, if he had known that was long, because he had a chance to fight for the long rebound, and Bridges got it. But he got it to his credit because you're supposed to block out the shooter, obviously. Is it you or me? I got him. So, but if Paul at 6'8" had gone forward, he might have been able to at least have a jump ball off that, and it might have changed the game. So now we come down to the madness of the conclusion of this game. And in my life of watching sports, in my extended career, my extensive career, I've never been more mystified, more baffled, more out of my mind over a review call than I was over what happened at the end. So with 3.3 seconds left, they swing the ball, they get it out of Devin Booker's hands, and they swing it to the corner, and Bridges misses a 3. Help me out.
It goes to Crowder first.
Yep. Goes to Crowder, then swing, and here's the shot, and it misses pretty badly. Help me out. Did that not go off Deandre Ayton's hands? Because he's the 7-footer. It appears to me... Huh?
I think Terrence Mann hit it.
Nope. It's straight off the 7-footer's hands. And Terrence Mann knows it because he turns and claps. He's pushing the other way and clapping like we just won the basketball game. And remember, Terrence Mann grew up in a coaching household because his mom has been a college and now a pro coach, obviously, with your Atlanta WNBA team. So he grew up in a coach's household. He has high basketball IQ. He knew exactly what had just happened. That's off Ayton's hands. And what baffled me the most was and I'm not trying to take ESPN to task, but they didn't have an angle on it. Like we have that big overview angle, but usually on those review plays, don't we get the side out of bounds? Don't we get the from the baseline? Don't we get it from 17 angles? So during the review, all I heard from the commentator crew, and I love those guys, seriously, Mark Jackson and Coach Van Gundy, they're the best.
Mike Breen doing
Mike Breen is they're great on great on great.
Yes.
But they spent the whole extended review time talking about what will Phoenix do when it I'm saying it's not Phoenix's ball. The ref called it Phoenix's ball, but I think they went over and they didn't want to overrule their call on the floor. I don't know, and I don't think they had a better angle to show exactly from the baseline view, but he is 7 feet tall, and it skims off his fingertips last. He, of course, points like it's still our ball. Look at Terrence Mann. If we could see it one more time, he just immediately turns and claps and goes the other way. Like, we got that. We just won the basketball game.
But, Skip, they always do that. I mean...
okay, but this is not even close. This is off Ayton. He's 7 feet tall to 6'5", and that's off Ayton. It's plain as day to me, even from this overview angle.
Well, the last 2 minutes was longer than the whole fourth quarter.
Okay, I got it. It took 33 minutes to go the last 90 seconds, 33 clock minutes, because we reviewed everything. And I don't have a problem with the review and getting it right. It just takes so long.
But, Skip, but you do realize that they reviewed a call that they didn't even call a foul on. You can't review Patrick Beverley. You didn't call a foul. But Patrick Beverley flopped, and then they went to it, and it's like, well, we got to call something because we stopped play. So they gave an offensive foul to Devin Booker. Skip, you can't do that.
Okay, but I did think Devin Booker caught him with his elbow up in his face.
Okay, well, go ahead and call a foul.
But they were reviewing for flagrant one.
Right,
okay?
But you can't do that, Skip, because you didn't call anything.
Okay, well, they did finally say offensive foul, but he didn't get called on the floor. Okay, I got it. Okay, so now this brings us to the fateful last play. And to your point, it happened so fast, it took me 10 seconds just to compute what had just happened because I couldn't figure it out. And I've got DeMarcus Cousins at 6'11", trying to bother the inbounds pass, and unfortunately he was trying to play for it to go backcourt, you know, like go to the go over his head instead of sideways. And how Crowder got it past the edge of the backboard because he's on the baseline. Because the ball off Ayton goes out on the baseline. Well, how he got it past the corner? Listen. It was the ultimate horse shot by Jay Crowder because I think it would have gone in without Ayton.
That's what I was thinking.
All Ayton needs to do is just guide it on down, just aid it.
That's something Luka would do.
Yeah,
remember we saw
that's a Luka shot. No, it is, or a Steph shot. Or something. It's a trick shot.
Yes.
Okay.
I was paused just like you were, Skip. I was like, okay, everybody's celebrating. I'm like, did it go in? Okay,
and here's the other robbery part for me. And I realize this is at Phoenix, and people are saying it's one of the loudest crowds in the NBA, and they're jacked out of their minds because of this playoff run they're on, and they're smelling finals. But there's a play that gets made by Ayton as he tries to break off the screen. If we could see the play from the start, he blatantly grabs hold of Zubac's jersey and just yanks him sideways off him. There you go. He yanked him. He grabbed his jersey and yanked him to impede his progress, like he's trying to slow him down so he can't chase.
You want him to call that, Skip?
I want him to call it. Would they call it in the first minute? Yes, they would. It's a blatant foul. Listen, any jersey grab, to me, that's a foul. It's just a foul. It's not like incidental contact, or that could go either way. If you grab the guy who's guarding his jersey or vice versa, it's a foul. You know it, and you could say the refs just missed it, but I didn't miss it. I saw it.
No. I'm not saying that. But I've sat up across from you over the last 5 years and watched you say in the fourth quarter of ball games, football or basketball, the officials are not going to make that call. You have to play through it.
Okay, but that's a let them play call. Where they just bang into each other and it's just physicality. That's not physicality. That's flat out dirty.
Skip,
that's dirty.
You know good.
That's breaking the rule. You cannot grab the man's jersey. And he grabbed him to impede him, to pull him back so that he couldn't get around Booker's screen. And he didn't get around Booker's screen because Ayton got scot-free to the basket.
You know what? In the words of Scott Foster and Kane Fitzgerald, that's a play on.
Play on with a jersey grab? Are you kidding?
Play on.
Yeah, it's a play on because Shannon won the game. That's why it's a play on, because That's just so blatant. And again, if you want to argue to me that they just missed it, that nobody saw it, but the truth is they just didn't have the guts to call it.
Okay, let me ask you a question. 98, you happen to be there. Was that a push-off on Jordan? Should they have called that by the letter of the law?
Yeah, but he didn't grab his jersey and throw him.
Did he push him?
There was a little push, but in that day and age, that never got called. It didn't get called in the first quarter. It was a much more physical game where they allowed a lot more hand checking, right? So this was offense to defense hand checking. Yeah. He got away with a little push. I will give you that. Okay. But they wouldn't have called it in the first quarter either. It was just the way the game wasn't called in 1998.
Well, they were calling some things in the first quarter that they definitely didn't call in the fourth quarter. And I thought, like, what... I already knew, Skip, once you put Kane Fitzgerald and Scott Foster together, the game's going to go on for perpetuity because they're going to insert themselves into the ball game. You know that, I know that. That's just the way it is. Kane Fitzgerald called an offensive foul on Devin Booker. He's at half court. There's two officials up under the basket. Neither one of them calls it. He's at half court. Go talk about... Stop that.
Okay, I got it. So, in the big picture, to your final point... These Clippers are extraordinary to me because they have no quit in them whatsoever.
They don't.
That they have this weird way about them that the worse it gets, the better they get.
Right.
Just when you think they're finished, just when they fall behind by 9, Reggie Jackson hits a 3. Or suddenly Luke Kennard is hot and he scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. Right. Or suddenly it's Terrence Mann. It's somebody making a play after a play to keep them barely afloat.
You know, Pat Beverley hit a 3.
He hit a big 3. And in fact, Pat Beverley, we'll talk about him later in the show, he doesn't get enough credit for how he can shut down a Devin Booker because he was all over him. And obviously they had an accidental headbutt. I don't know what you thought of it, but I just thought it was purely accidental. And they both took it pretty bad. I think they both probably...
I'm surprised it doesn't happen more with Patrick Beverley because he does a lot of leaning in. And so I'm surprised it doesn't happen more. But he caught him flush.
Okay. But in the end, if you look at the Clippers' playoff run, you see that even when they lose, they never lose by much. They haven't been blown out one time. Even my great Spurs dynasty teams going back over the last 10, 15 years, they would get blown out regularly, even in the finals. Right. There'd be a game where you just say, next.
Right.
Well, they never go next. They have lost all their games by a grand total of a 5-point average. Right. So when they lose, they don't lose by much. And when they win, they can blow you off the court. So now they won games 1 and 2 they played games 1 and 2 at Phoenix, and they won the 3-point contest by 21 points both times. Right. They had 7 more threes in both games.
Right.
And that's how they hung in there.
Right.
So I'm crushed because they needed to do this without Kawhi Leonard. They needed one.
Right.
Now they're really up against it. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. But in the end, my final takeaway from this game was I believe that it's in the league's head that there's some secret memo out there somewhere where once there's no Kawhi Leonard and he is not coming back for the rest of the playoffs, they need Phoenix in the finals. Chris Paul is coming back on Thursday night. We're about to discuss that.
Right.
So with Chris Paul and Devin Booker and an emerging superstar in Deandre Ayton, they need Phoenix in the finals. And congratulations, you probably just pulled that off.
Skip, but you look at the balance scoring. Again, remember the other night they had 6 guys in double figures. Phoenix did. Last night they had 5 guys in double figures. Now the difference that the Clippers are running into, that big man Deandre Ayton, he's different than Rudy Gobert. They can actually throw him the ball, and he can go make a play for himself.
Well, he can make 10, 15-foot jump shots.
And Skip, if you see the difference in defense, Reggie Jackson had him on skates. He was about to jump up in the air. Reggie crossed him over, and he went and blocked it and saved it. See, Rudy Gobert couldn't do that. Kristaps Porzingis can't do that. Nope. So this is a different type of a big man than what they're used to. And he shoots a high percentage. You know, Rudy Gobert, basically, you throw lobs, Skip. He get it up. No, they passed the ball. He was facing up a Zubats and nailing 12, 15-footer. So you got to treat him differently. But give them, Skip, in the second half, the Suns shot 2 of 14 from 3, but they were 19 of 25 from 2. and they were 12 or 13 from the free throw line.
They're a 2-point and a free throw team. That's what they do.
Because if you think about it, Skip, they're 3 best players. Now, Book and CP3 can make threes, but that's not their game. Their game is mid-range. Deandre Ayton is not even attempting that. So their best 3 players are basically great in the mid-range and at the basket. So I'm not surprised to see this, but I am surprised that they shot so poorly. Jay Crowder did not have a great game. And basically, that play at the end basically saved.
Well, he made no field goals. So he was 0 for, except for 1 pass.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even, Skip, he only took 3 shots. He was 0 for 3 from 3, but he was, perfect from the free throw line, a couple of rebounds. But give them credit, Skip. I mean, you want them to call this. See, you want all the team. You want every call to go to the Clippers, especially if they lose, when they've gotten some calls. Skip, you know good.
Those are the calls. Those 2 calls decided the basketball game.
No.
It's as simple as that.
Well, Skip,
nothing matters. If it's off DeAndre Ayton, out of bounds, and you review that and you say, I'm sorry, it's off him, the game is over.
They reviewed it.
It's over.
First of all, Skip, did you think, let me ask you a question. When you saw it in real time, did you think that ball was off Book? That Patrick Beverley knocked out of bounds?
Yes. You look at my timeline. I dare you. Go look at my timeline. I immediately tweeted that ball last touched Booker's hand. I tweeted it immediately.
You did.
You can check.
But I tell you what, I did a tweet. I said, I was thinking to myself, I said,
You
Paul,
tweet?
No, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you tweeted.
Yeah, Skip, I was like, I was sitting there. I was like, Paul George is going to miss both of these free throws.
Did you?
I started typing. I said, he going to miss the next one. He going to miss the next one also.
You did tweet that too.
And I tweeted it.
Yes,
I tweeted it?
I tweeted it. I know it.
Did you tweet he was going to miss both of them?
I was saying to myself in my head.
Oh, one of those tweets.
No, but let me
one of those I was thinking it tweets.
But I did tweet.
Love those.
I did tweet. He gonna miss this next one.
Okay. Well, that was gutsy of you. Yeah.
You hated it. Oh, you were sick. That's when you hit the floor, didn't you? You started yelling at Ernestine. Ernestine, you don't deserve this. Hazel, you do not deserve this.
I yelled a bad word. I did.
Well,
I
at
admit
least
it.
you started the show with an apology, right? I appreciate that.
Yeah, you need to
Ernestine,
apologize some more.
We are sorry that you had to listen to that last night. Oh, and well, if Ernestine's watching, she needs to get ready because I don't think Skip's done because we got a lot more to talk about today.
No mercy.
Chris Paul missed the first 2 Suns wins over the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, but may see a return in L.A. According to reports, CP3 is hopeful to return for Game 3 as long as he clears the league's health and safety protocols. So, Shannon, if CP3 returns tomorrow night, is this series over?
Nope. I've learned my lesson the hard way. I am never counting out a T-Lue. I should have known better to do that before after seeing how he coached those years in Cleveland and being down 3-1. So I'm never going to sell a T-Lue coach team short because those guys, he will find a lineup. He will push the right buttons and guys will make shots. There's something about him exuding and instilling confidence in guys that all of a sudden Reggie Jackson looks like the player that Detroit gave a max contract to, Skip. He's playing that well offensively. You look at guys, Terrence Mann comes in, Zubac, what do you have, 14 and 12. Guys start playing. Luke Kennard did nothing all year long. And you look at him the last 4 or 5 games in which T-Lue, and he hadn't played a whole lot of minutes, and he can't miss. So
Yeah,
for
10 in the fourth quarter left.
Yes. So no, Skip. I'm not counting, and I understand the Suns are a different team. They're better than the previous 2 teams that they beat after falling behind 2-0. But I'm not counting them out because all they need to do is get, especially if they get the first one. Now, Skip, if they lose on Thursday night, I don't see a situation where they beat Phoenix 4 straight times. Now, I know what they did to Utah, but I don't see that same scenario happening to the Suns. But I'm not counting them short. Now, does that give them, you get another score, another ball handler, and it takes the pressure off of Book. Now he can go back to a role that he's most comfortable, getting buckets. He doesn't have to worry about Skip because of their 9 turnovers that they had. He had 7 of them.
He did?
So for me, no, I'm not counting them out. But they better win on Thursday night because if they don't win Thursday night, I don't see a scenario in which they win the next 4 games.
I would like to say that my Clippers have the Suns right where they want them. Down 0-2, going home.
Yeah.
At least they're not going to Dallas for games 3 and 4. But to your point, I must admit, this is very different than the last 2 series.
Yeah.
Because there's no Kawhi Leonard. He is not coming back for these playoffs. And unfortunately, the harder I looked at what he did in games 3 and 4 in Dallas, And then, obviously, games 3 and 4 at Staples versus Utah. It was pretty extraordinary because at Dallas, Lord have mercy, he goes 36 and 29 in those two, that Friday night and Sunday. And then Utah 34 and 31 at Staples, games 3 and 4. That's an average of 33 points a game and 9 rebounds a game. Right. Well, you can't just replace that, right?
Right. And you can't replace his defense, because who you gonna give you 31 in his D?
And it's do or die, like you just said. I don't care. I know mathematically it's not, but especially Thursday night.
Yeah, you got to win Thursday.
You have to win Thursday night. Well, you don't have your guy, and he's your best player. And I always said, Paul George, we're going to talk about him in just a second, complimentary. He's 1A. Right now, he's got to be 1 only. Right. And can he rise up? Maybe. Do they have enough? I called them the deepest team in pro basketball the whole year, and they have enough depth, but do they have enough star power? Right. So it may not be that the Clippers can win it, but it might be that the Suns will lose it, which brings me to Cameron Payne. On Twitter last night, I had to respell his last name because for me it was P-A-I-N because he was inflicting nothing but pain. Yeah. Every time I looked up, he got another bucket. Right. He strokes the threes, lefty, sweet lefty with a weird motion, but it's sweet, man.
And he can get to the rim, Skip.
Can he? Cameron Payne is lightning quick.
He is.
Again, I'm not suggesting he's better than Chris Paul, but he's different. Yeah. He brings you another level of explosive scoring that right now, Chris at age 30, what is he, 36? 36, he just can't do this anymore. Right. This is lightning. This is, they put Paul George on him in the fourth quarter, and Paul's just having a hard time staying in front of him. He's just too quick. He's Trae Young quick, and he's long to the basket where he can do those up and unders or those high floaters off the glass.
And there's not a whole lot of point guard, Skip, that has that kind of quickness that are lefties. No. You got to talk about De'Aaron Fox. You got to talk about Mike Conley. But most point guards you face, they're righties. So all of a sudden, you going against a guy, you like, oh, he's right.
Okay.
He laid
so
up with his
I'm
left.
going to remind everybody, Cameron Payne in 2015 was the 14th overall pick in the draft. Right. We forget because he couldn't quite live up because that Oklahoma City Thunder team was led by Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Correct. That team was up 3-1 on Golden State. Right. And you know the rest of the story. KD ends up with Golden State
but
the
he
next
was
year.
Reggie, excuse me, I was going to say Reggie. Reggie had already gone by then, I think.
He had gone by then. So they needed him to be their next Reggie. Right. And listen, those guys, that Sam Presti, he can pick them. Yes. He can find diamonds in the rough, starting with Russell Westbrook. Right. And Reggie Jackson, I didn't see him come from Boston College. You know, where did that come from? I didn't know about him, and he's that guy. Yes. He's got that kind of explosive ability. So does Cameron Payne, but he wasn't able to live up to it with the Thunder. Then he bounced around. This is his 6th season, and he went Bulls, and then he went Cavs, and here he is with the Suns.
Didn't some GM, somebody in the Chicago organization said that we knew after the second practice he couldn't play?
Couldn't play, all right? That's fine, but he can play now. Right. And he's not, you know, it's not like he's old. He's what, 24 years of age. And the point is, he's 6'1", 185 pounds, but with the quickness and the athletic ability and the moxie and the guts, he is absolutely fearless. Well, I first saw it against your Lakers. Yeah. Because when Chris Paul went down, he didn't go completely out. But obviously in games 2 and 3, he was just, talk about a shell. I couldn't even recognize him. And guess who? Well, here he came. So Cameron Payne against you guys in game 2, he goes 19 and 7 assists. That'll work. Next game, 15 and 6 assists. And I'm saying, wait a second, that guy can play. Yeah. I mean, seriously play. Right. And against the Lakers, he shot 42% from 3. Well, that'll work, right? So I said, uh-oh. Then against Denver, he was not needed because Chris Paul rose and shone, and we know the rest of that, and he barely played.
Skip, you mentioned something interesting. You said he might not can play. He might not can play, but he can play for Monty Williams. And that's all that matters. Yep. He might not can do anything else for any other team in the NBA or any other coach. But for some reason, he's able to play for him. Because Monty, Skip, he was sitting on the street, and Monty came and got him and said, I need you. Yep. So, again, we're talking about somebody that believes in you.
And by the way, for those who completely airballed this, Cameron Payne played at Murray State ahead of Ja.
Yes.
But he was Ja without the hype. Because
without the hops.
Yeah, and without the hops. I don't know. He's got pretty good hops, but he didn't have that kid's hops.
No.
So he went 19-6 over his 2 years at Murray State,
Right.
but he was the 14th overall pick.
Right.
And so I can make the case that if you suddenly change your rotation, and obviously, if Chris is back, there's nothing wrong with Chris, except he had to get over his cut past the test, and he will, and he's going to play on Thursday night.
Right.
So the point is, are you sure that it won't be a step down for the Suns? Because remember, Chris has not played basketball now for 11. It's 11 days.
Okay.
Right? Because they were off a week.
Right.
Okay,
Correct.
so it's 11 days. Well, again, rooting for the Clippers, I'm not saying that Cameron Payne is better than Chris Paul, but he's playing right now at a higher, more explosive offensive level than I believe Chris can play
But
at.
I think that Monty Williams have the luxury of having is that Chris would need is a break. He won't be as hesitant to give Chris a break with knowing that Cameron Payne can come in and can do the job. But imagine, Skip, Cameron Payne coming in going against your second unit.
Okay.
Now, you saw what he did against your first unit. Imagine he comes in and going against your second unit.
Okay, but in the sweep of Denver,
Yes.
his minutes fell all the way to only 16 a game, which will probably be what he'll play in Game 3 at Staples on Thursday night. Well, against Denver, he scored 7, 7, 9, and 4. So he went way, way down from those explosive.
Well, but also Chris Paul's numbers went way, way, way up as far as scoring compared to what he did against the Lakers.
Okay, I'm just saying maybe slight advantage Clippers that you don't have to deal with this guy the way you had to. Not for, what did he play, like almost 40 minutes last night? I mean, he played the bulk of the...
Yeah, he played 37 minutes.
37 minutes, okay. Well, is he going to play 37?
No.
He will not.
No.
Will Chris play 35? He probably will. It's his team. He's the obvious leader. A lot of people thought not only is the MVP of this team, but he should have been the MVP of the league. Okay, I give you all the above. As a Clippers fan, I will not be unhappy if Cameron Payne is limited to 13 minutes.
No.
Okay?
But let me ask you a question. What if they play Chris Paul and Cameron Payne together? We have seen them do that. Because I believe Patrick Beverley will stay on Devin Booker, even when Chris Paul comes back and now you slide Reggie Jackson to CP3.
Remember, we have seen Ty Lue play Rondo and Pat Bev together quite a bit. They were together some last night. So to combat that, the way to to defeat that, you play those two guys together. And I'm convinced that he wants Rondo to get some big run on Chris Paul because they don't like each other, and Rondo knows Chris Paul's game and can get just as physical as Chris can get.
Rondo hit some big shots last night.
Okay, he has been hitting big shots. And again, Ty has been pushing all the right buttons, but you got to push the Pat Bev button harder because he needs to play 35 minutes on Thursday night because he is the X-factor.
You think he has that kind of minutes in that body?
I do. He's 32. He's almost 33. But, hey, is he not some kryptonite for Devin Booker?
But, Skip, his 32 is different because he plays so hard because that's the way he can make it. So he doesn't get an opportunity like some of the superstars to coast on the other end. He has to go all out. Now, he's not the scoring threat, so maybe he rests on that end. But you expend a lot more energy playing defense than you do offense.
Okay. So these Clippers have done it the hardest way every time. This is different because there's no Kawhi, and obviously the Suns are, to me, a lot better than Dallas and a little better than Utah. I will give you that. So they're way more up against it, and for once, because the Clippers were always favorites at home against Dallas and Utah, this time the Suns are a 1-point favorite on Thursday night, okay? So I give you that. But I also give you the guts and grit, the classic cliche guts and grit of the Los Angeles Clippers. It is something to behold. It was last night. It was in Game 1. They had a chance in Game 1. So it's not like they go home licking their wounds saying, we just can't compete with them. Yeah, they can compete.
Yeah, but that last night, that hurt. Just like you said, when your Spurs lost that game, they had it. It was right there. They're bringing out the champagne. You like, Skip, you right there. Skip, you less than a second from doing everything you wanted to do. We left Phoenix with a split. We're going home Thursday with a chance to take a 2-1 lead. Now you basically going home to try to stay in the series. It's got to be painful. Now, I'm not saying they can't overcome that, but Skip, man, these losses like this are debilitating.
I hear you, but remember the home Dallas loss when we barely knew who he was, but when Terrence Mann went up and under on Luka and it looked like he could have dunked it, and at the last second he kicks it down the, back up the lane to Batum coming in, and Batum's like, you want me to shoot this on the run? And he missed it. Right. Remember, that's for the game. Yes. Right? Okay, so they keep overcoming that because Ty Lue is just, he's the master of this. Right. He is the master of disaster. Like does he ever show you any sweat? You know, like any panic? No. He says, we'll be fine. We know how to do this. We've done it before. Right. Hey, just go home and get a victory and just, hey, go from there. Yep. Here we go.
Someone who definitely left a little disappointed last night, Paul George. He did lead the Clippers in points last night with 26, but was 1 of 8 from beyond the arc. And PG-13 also missed 2 free throws with under 8 seconds left that would have put the Clippers up 3. Instead, the Suns went down and took the lead with the Deandre Ayton alley-oop, which we now know very, very well. So, Shannon, that's a tough ending. Give PG-13 a letter grade for last night.
Skip, I gave him a D-. Because if you look at it, he had 23 points, Skip, but it took him 23 shots to get it. Let's look at the first 45 minutes of the ball game. Paul George was 7 of 20 from the floor, 0 of 7 from 3. That's an F. And then you look at the final 2 minutes and 30 seconds. He had 9 points. I gave him an A for that. The final 10 seconds, he missed 2 free throws. That's another F. So to tally that up, Skip, I thought he gave him a D- ball, a D-. Skip, you've got to make those free throws. If you just make one, now a 2-pointer can tie you, or if you make both of them, it's going to take a 3 to send it to overtime. But you can't miss both because now you subject yourself to what happened. That would happen. So for me, I don't see how you get around it, Skip. And I told you, this is why you can't. He gave himself that name, Playoff P. He said he's Playoff P. That's anything but. Now I didn't know. I thought Doc Rivers said they wasn't going to trade Ben Simmons. Was that Ben Simmons last night shooting the free throws? Oh, that was Paul Simmons. Or was that Ben George? Oh, my goodness, Skip. I'm like, who's knocking on the door? That was Paul George Meade. I thought somebody was knocking on my door up in Bel Air. Yeah! I said, what is that noise? You know, because you saw it, too. I knew it. I knew it. Skip, can I share something with you?
Yeah.
He's not that guy.
Not that guy.
He's not that guy. That's not you, bud.
I think you misnamed Paul George.
No, I didn't.
I think you should have called him LeBron George because he went LeBron at the end of the game. He went LeBron at the end of the game. I give you that. He did exactly what LeBron has done so many times because LeBron James is simply the worst late-game free throw shooter in the history of superstars in this league. There's never been anything statistically like what a disaster LeBron has been at the late-game free throw line, which is why he is often run from the late-game free throw line. Paul George has been nothing but money and clutch from the free throw line, okay? You got me on this. In fact, saw a stat this morning. It was 104 times this year that Paul George made both free throws. So he had never, in 104 times shooting 2 free throws, he's never missed both of them until last night. Okay, so I'm going to give him a B+ for last night because I have never been prouder of Paul George. Because what's your favorite word? Context. Yeah. Let's put this in context of what he did. Because all I heard after Game 7 at Philadelphia, Trae Young, he was lauded and applauded because he went to the fourth quarter 2 of 16, right? And what was he? Let's see, he wound up 2 of 11 from 3. I think he was 1 of 10 from 3 going to the fourth quarter. And he had a flurry, a significant all-time great flurry of he hit a jumper and a floater and a logo 3, right? Way to go, Trae Young. He's our little darling, right? Well, Paul George went way beyond what Trae Young did. No, he didn't. In the last 2 minutes of the game, the last 2:41, he was all-time clutch great. And to do that when you're shooting the ball so poorly, remember, he was 0 for 7 from 3. And we got to see these shots in order. Can we see it again? 2:41 left. If we'd see Paul George's 9 points in 2 minutes late in the game. He's 0 for 7, and he bangs that one in to cut the lead to 3. Then with 56.7 seconds left, did that not look like a good free throw? This one's a little shaky. Up and in. Okay, all right, that was maybe a harbinger of what was to come, but that cut it to 1. And then here he comes back again, gets to the rim, and they lead by 1. He put them ahead by 1 with 30 seconds left. Then 22 seconds left, shot of the night. Clutch as you can get. And this is the quote-unquote pandemic P who was condemned in the bubble for melting down psychologically and mentally to the point that he needed counseling in the bubble. And everybody ridiculed him because he is so mentally weak. And he has taken the biggest bunch of you-know-what from everybody all year long, including Devin Booker, who is trash-talking the whole year long about how soft he is, psychologically soft, mentally soft. And for him to come back from all of the above, from having a putrid shooting night and heat up, that I just gave you 9 points in 2 minutes of time. 9 points.
I gave him an A for that.
Woohoo! Well, I'm giving him a B+ for the night because it's hard to do that when you're up against it.
Hold on, if you don't mind me asking, what's Paul George a career what from the free throw line? If 84? I'm not mistaken, he's career 84%. He in the playoffs, he's been 86%. He went 50% last night, and you gave him a B.
I did.
How about this here? You win the game if he goes 80%.
Help me out. If he doesn't have this all-time salvo of 9 points in 2 minutes, are they in this game? Heck no. They're not even close.
Let me ask you a question. What are you going to remember about game 2? Are you going to remember that 9-point flurry in 2 minutes
and 30 seconds? You're asking the wrong guy. I'm going to remember 9.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're going to remember those minutes. I guarantee you, they're not going to show that flurry. When they go back and look at this game, everybody's going to look at what Paul George did with a chance to ice the game.
Okay, want to know the truth?
Like butter on a warm summer day.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Help me out here. What if the refs make the right call? What if they make the right call?
Don't do that.
On the missed Bridges 3. If we got to see it one more time.
Don't do that, Skip.
What if you make the right call? Because it's clearly off Ayton, out of bounds. It's off Ayton, and if you call this correctly, the game is over. What would you remember if they got this right? What would you remember if the Bridges 3, which misses badly, it's off Ayton? It's clearly, he's 7 feet tall. He's the last guy who touches it. If you do this, if you go off Ayton's left hand, which it clearly is out of bounds, if you rule that the right way.
How from here and they can't see it on replay?
Well, because they called it the wrong way to start with, and they protected themselves and their reputation by saying, we can fake this.
Are you saying what I think you're saying? That the referees cost the Clippers a game?
Yeah, I'm exactly saying that. And if you make that call correctly, if you reverse that call correctly, if you reverse it, then nobody's remembering the 2 free throws. They're remembering that Paul George got him back in the game.
No, Skip, we can't do that. Because you said, well, if Top would have left Tim Duncan in the game, they had got the rebound. Oh, nobody will remember that. Okay, you're right. But they didn't. So let's look at it what it was. He was 5 of 10, a guy that's a career 84%. Now, you told me when George Hill made 1 or 2 as a career 80%, George Hill, you want George Hill at the free throw line at that moment? You wanted Paul George at the free throw line, and what did he do?
What has he shown you throughout his playoff career? And it's pretty lengthy, starting with Indiana, Oklahoma City, and here, right?
Yeah.
What has he shown you at the free throw line? He has been money.
No, he ain't.
Yes.
What he's shown me in the last 6-7 years is that he'll shrink like wet polyester.
Okay. Well, how about 56.7 seconds left? Is that under 1 minute?
Yeah.
Did he not make 2 free throws to cut it down to a 1 point lead?
Yes, he did that.
Okay. You got to give him credit for that because that cancels out some of what happened thereafter.
Skip, you lost because he's your best guy on the court at that time. He's the best guy. You want the ball in his hand. They didn't want to foul. They wanted to foul Patrick Beverley, but they made sure Patrick Beverley didn't touch the ball.
Okay.
So now PG got it. That's the guy you want at the line.
Okay. You know what would have happened if LeBron had been on the court? There's no way he would have broken into the backcourt and said, give me the ball inbounds so I'll be the one to get fired. He's classic. He'll go hide up court and let some Luke Kennard shoot
what my guy would have done, as you saw in Washington, when Kevin Love heaved it down and he turned and kissed him off the backboard for a 3-pointer. You remember that?
I was pure luck.
Not everything he did is luck.
He didn't call backboard from there.
You said, you know what? Guess what you did, Skip? You said the shot that he hit in Golden State was luck. What I'm starting to notice is that every time...
What shot?
The one that he hit in Golden State over Steph Curry. You remember that one in the play-in game when he hit that 3 over
Oh, the play-in game.
Yeah, the one he hit from like 42 feet.
Well, he said I was seeing 3 rims and I just picked the right one.
Exactly.
Well, that sounds pretty lucky to me.
But what I'm starting to see, Skip, is that anytime LeBron James does something extraordinary, which he is extraordinary people do extraordinary things.
Who would you rather have at the late game free throw line?
GOAT.
Paul George or a LeBron James?
GOAT.
I don't want LeBrick.
GOAT.
Or Lagon. He's Lagon because I don't know whatever happened to LeBron
Look at
James.
it. Oh, guess what? Give it a couple of days.
Yeah.
And give it a couple of days.
Yep.
And your little Clippers will be Lagon too.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, your little Clippers.
Well, guess what? You're so afraid that you're saying there. We just did a whole topic on it. You said I've learned my lesson.
No.
Interesting.
I'm not saying that it's over. It's not over.
Well, if it's not over, then you think they're going to win Game 3.
No, but Skip. But even if you win Game 3, that doesn't mean you win the series.
No, it does not. But again, they have taught you well.
Put it like this.
Don't bet against the Clippers in a do or die.
The question is, who would you rather be at this currently as we sit here? Would you rather be in the Suns' shoes or you rather be in the Clippers' shoes?
Okay, well, you could have asked that. Listen, the Dallas series, everybody said it was over, and it was even more over when they fell behind 30-11 on Friday night in Dallas.
Okay, now you got to win 4 games without your best player.
Yep.
You believe you're going to do that? You want some do?
Nope,
You know
I don't.
What? No. I want 20 cases. I want 20 bottles of these. Double 2 liters. I bet 20 bottles.
Boy, that's gutsy on your part.
Yeah.
That's really going way out to the end of the limb.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
What?
Well, obviously, the Suns are favored. And by the way, I let you off the hook last night because if you'd had any courage of your convictions, you would have given me the 5 points. It was a 5-point game.
I tell you what I do. You know what?
And I would have won easily.
You're right. I let myself down. I didn't have the courage of my conviction.
Yep.
I give you the 1 point right now on Thursday.
Oh, wow.
I'll give you the point right now.
Huge.
I give you the use.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
For 2 cases?
Oh, let's wait until tomorrow. I got to hear more about what's happening.
Oh, no, you want to see if Chris Paul plays.
Well, and I want to make sure about Marcus Morris. Is he even going to play? Because he was 3 of 11 last night, and I told you my team tends to go as he goes, and he went south again last night.
He came out strong last night. I thought it was going to be one of those guys. Yeah, he
3 of 11?
No.
Really?
He missed like his last 7 shots.
Okay.
But Skip, he started good. Hold on, what was Marcus in the first quarter? Oh, my bad. He was 1 of 6.
Thank you. 1 of 6.
Okay, but I mean,
They went south. They even overcame the loss of Marcus Morris last night.
He was 2-8 in the first half.
He's got a knee issue. I don't even know if he's going to play.
He's going to play.
I told you last night I'm out.
You don't miss games like this because you don't know how many more opportunities that you're going to get an opportunity to be in this position. So he's going to play. Now, how effective he'll be, but you need to worry about this. Hold on. Did Paul George come to the press conference with an ice pack on? I just need to know, did that happen?
I didn't notice.
I just hope that maybe I'm seeing things. I need to go back and rewind it. But if anybody saw what I think I saw, let me know if Paul George came to the press conference. Because I don't want to hear nothing about that.
Did Devin Booker sit on the bench with some kind of ice pack on his left arm last night?
Why are you looking at that? Why are you worried about what Devin Booker got going on?
Well, is there some message like I'm struggling?
That's not your
I don't
team.
know. They all do it.
That's not your team. You worry about your team. Let me worry
Luka,
about mine.
Donovan Mitchell, they all do it. It's props. Trae Young, he's got something all over.
Oh, so you saying Paul George had a prop?
Props.
Is that what you said?
Well, I trust Paul George. I've told you from the start, and I want to thank him publicly for what he did last night because that was by his... given the ridicule he's taken to overcome that with 9 points, you know.
And gonna get some more, too.
Yeah,
and guess what? He going to be on a real boat. It won't be a prop. He going to be sailing. Yeah.
Okay.
You come about, guess what? Staples Center, man. I wonder what Staples Center going to do after, after Saturday. Anybody else can... They start having concerts because you won't be playing.
Okay, since you didn't give me 5 points last night at Phoenix, I'll take 5 right now.
No, 1.
If you have guts, you give me 5.
No, because I let you off because I could have got 1 step closer. I let you sucker me into taking a book for 40, but no more. No more sucker bets. I give you the 1 point right now. You know
came
what?
Close to 40. He got 20.
How about this here? How about you know what? To entice you to, you know, I give you 2 points right now.
2?
2 points right now.
Okay, well, I'll take 2. By tomorrow, I'm going to get 5.
No. 2 for how many cases? How many cases you want? 1 or 2?
I'll take it for 5 cases.
Okay.
Yep.
5?
It's going to be the first time in a while I've been under 30 cases.
You're the one who just said, I learned my lesson.
I ain't learned nothing.
Okay.
I'm hard-headed.
No mercy.
Suns were able to run an inbounds play directly for Deandre Ayton thanks to a Devin Booker screen. The pass threaded the needle by the backboard and over the rim for the alley-oop and game-winning basket for the Suns. And the crowd went wild. Shannon, scale of 1 to 10. Please rank this play for its all-time here greatness.
Well, Skip, you do realize that, you know, in football, Arizona completed a Hail Mary. Kyler Murray through to DeAndre Hopkins. They call it the Hail Murray.
Nice, okay.
They're calling this, Skip, the Valley Oop.
Yep.
Now, for me, Skip, this is not Ray Allen's shot. This is not Kyrie's shot. This is not Magic Baby Skyhook, which you were probably in attendance. But it is a tremendous play. Now, in all-time history, Skip, how about I give it a grade? I'm going to give it an 8. Because, like I said, the other shot, Skip, happened in the NBA Finals. This is the playoffs, but you know the further you go along, the greater the moment is. So, obviously, if this happened in a Finals game, Skip, now we're on to something. So, for me, I'm going to give it an 8, and I gave it an 8. I think I gave it an 8.5. I gave it an 8.5, considering the degree of difficulty, because, as Jenny is explaining it, Crowder has to throw it just right. Look at the angle, because they're probably... That's not a good angle. We've seen guys do this before that at a tougher angle. Dwight Howard caught one over Tim Duncan, Skip, from the side out of bounds. Tyson Chandler, I don't know, do we have that video? Look at this one, Skip. That's from the opposite side out of bounds. Look at this.
Okay, but you got a better angle. You don't have to worry about hitting the backboard.
But
right?
you got to. But that's peak Dwight. And I think, look at this is Tyson Chandler.
Yep. This play lives in Phoenix lore. That's a game winner.
Well, that might have been a foul, too, because he did push Gasol. Skip, look at this. Is that Gasol? No, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
But anyway, Skip, I gave it an 8.5, considering that it was a game-winning shot, and there were a lot of moving parts involved. Because if you think about it, Chris Bosh has to get the ball, Ray Allen has to backpedal, Kyrie's shot is him, Magic Skyhook, but I got to get a perfect pass from Jay Crowder. I got to time my jump up just right, because if I jump too early, I'm going to be on the way down, and Zubac's might block it. If I jump too soon, the ball's not going to be there. So everything had to time up perfect, and given that circumstances, and they had never practiced. You know what, Skip? I'm talking myself in the movie. I'm going to give it a 9, considering they never practiced this play. Now, let's think about it. The likelihood of Ray Allen, how many times you think Ray Allen has just gotten the ball and just started backpedaling shooting? I think he does that a lot.
I think he practiced it a whole lot.
Kyrie, how many times we hear guys counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and shoot around him at practice? They did that. Magic and the Baby Skyhook, he practiced that. Skip, they never practiced this. So given that, I'm going to say I'm all the way up to a 9. Now, I talked myself into a 9.
Okay, I got you. I'll go this far. There are elements of this play that deserve a 9.5 to me on all-time greatness, because the first is just the sheer shock value of it.
Right.
It took me 20 seconds just to figure out what had just happened.
Right.
It took my breath away.
Right.
It knocked me off my chair. I didn't see it coming, and it happened so fast and furiously that it was suddenly over, and a lot of the players didn't seem to know what happened.
The players didn't know what happened, right. They looking around. Okay,
so the reason I give high marks is that Monty Williams, he said he first learned this play from Brett Brown when he was on the Philly staff back in 18-19, before he took the Phoenix job.
You in 2018, 2019?
Yes. Yes.
You said 1918.
No, I'm sorry, in the 18-19 season.
Okay, 2018.
Okay. So he spent 1 year under Brett Brown, and so that's where he learned that concept, that setup for the inbounds play.
Right.
And you have to be smart enough to know there's a quirky NBA rule, which is on an inbounds pass, there's no offensive goaltending. So you can throw it at the rim, and you can just dunk it down in the rim and go completely in the cylinder.
Right.
And as the ref said in the statement after the game, per NBA rule, an offensive player can touch the ball in the cylinder during a throw-in.
Right.
Well, you have to realize
understand the rules.
And your players have to understand that's acceptable. I'm not sure Ayton really got that, but they talk about that Tyson Chandler play that that's the first time they utilized that rule, where he just went up, and it's almost like the pass is so perfect, it's going to go in. And so all you do is aid it by
touching it,
furthering the dunk. You know, you just push it right on down through the cylinder. Well, on any other play, that's offensive goaltending, and you cannot do it, and it would be waved off immediately.
That is correct.
So you need to know that. Now, The first option they said after the game was that they were setting a screen. The Ayton first goes to his left to set a screen to get Cameron Johnson.
Johnson, yeah, because he's the only one that can make a shot.
And he was 5 for 5.
Right.
So they correctly said, let's try to get the ball in his hands for a 2 or 3, whatever it be, whatever gets open.
Right.
And yet Paul George jumped the screen and got through it enough that all of a sudden Ayton's like, oh, we got to go to option number 2, which is he's going to cut down the lane off of Devin Booker's screen. Okay, now I got to give Devin Booker high marks because he said in his life on a last-second shot, he's never screamed.
Hell no.
Okay, because
he's the guy.
Devin Booker. Well, why wouldn't you demand the ball? This is the kind of play where if you call it in the huddle, remember what LeBron did to Blatt in Chicago in a pivotal game when they were about to get in trouble? Remember in the sideline huddle? He calls the play for Kyrie, and LeBron said, hell no. Give me the damn ball. Remember that?
Yes,
and so the inbound goes to LeBron, and it was a long 2. It wasn't exactly a 3, but,
a long 2.
But it was a long 2 from the corner to win the game. Okay? So I'm surprised Devin Booker had low enough ego to say, oh, okay, he's got the hot hand.
Okay, like my guy did last year against Denver. My guy had low enough ego to set the screen and kept him occupied.
Time out. That play in game 2 against Denver in the bubble in the conference finals was called for LeBron. And Rondo said after the game, I locked eyes with him, and he did not move.
And it worked.
So suddenly, well, it's like panic.
It wasn't no panic.
And you have to fling it out to the wing to a looping AD.
Just like it wasn't, because guess what, Skip? Nicholas Batum did not leave Devin Booker's side. So now it worked to the charm. So now we set the screen on Zubac, and we get a clear pass.
Okay, you can't leave Devin Booker's side because he's too lethal. He's got the most lethal 15-foot shot in the game.
And you couldn't leave Goat James' side because he's too lethal.
Too lethal?
Too lethal.
He's a below-average shooter. I'd trust that he'd miss that one. So he didn't want any part of the last shot. And it was extemporaneous to say, I got to fling it over here to AD, looping all the way across the top of the set, and he shoots a 3 that wins the game. Unplanned. Not option B, it was option 0.
Yeah, Skip, that's what you got to do. Okay. The original plan didn't go through. We were supposed to get to Cameron Johnson. Okay, they took that away.
So I'm a little surprised that Devin Booker didn't make a stink in the huddle and say, give me the damn ball.
Nah, Skip. Nah.
Look, is he that guy? You said yesterday he's that guy.
He is that guy. But I'm going to trust. You don't think in third down and fourth downs I wanted the ball? But I'm going to trust the coach in that situation that he's going to call the right play, and John's going to make the right decision. He didn't always throw me the ball on third and fourth down. Okay. A lot of times he did.
Okay. All right. But who is the mentor and idol of one Devin Booker? Kobe Bryant. What would Kobe have done in that sideline huddle if Phil had called the play for Shaq?
He did out nothing, because guess what happened? You remember the play that beat your Spurs? Derek Fisher got that ball off at 0.3?
0.6.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he hit him.
Do I?
It ran right up the tunnel, right up the court.
He did.
After your guy Tim Duncan had hit a shot, I don't know how he made that shot on Shaq.
And what was Shaq's line after the game? One lucky shot deserves another. So he said, okay, Tim got lucky on me, and we got lucky with Derek.
So what, you gave it a 9?
No, I haven't finished yet. Okay. So I'm shocked that Devin Booker, it actually worked for him because, to your point, Batum can't leave him. He can't help off Devin Booker because he's Devin Booker.
Because Devin Booker's right there. Now, you don't want to leave Devin Booker 10
so he's
feet
the
from
ultimate decoy on the play. So now we get to how did Ayton get open? And this is where I'm going to mark it down. Well, clearly, if we could see it one more time, he just grabs a hold of Zubac's jersey and just yanks him sideways and gets the edge on him. He got past, look, he's holding him, so he sort of throws him into Booker's screen, and Zubac almost got there, but he couldn't quite. And the pass has to be all-time perfect. He held his jersey. It's outrageously, it's a foul. You just have to call it. And they're not going to call it because it's Phoenix, it's a madhouse, and the Suns are on the rise.
I'm looking at the bench, Skip. Look at it. I mean, one guy's jumping up and down, but a lot of guys are like,
they don't know what to do.
What just happened?
Yep, they don't know what to do.
But the thing is that Zubac went as high as he could, Skip. I mean, sometimes, you jump as high as you can.
Okay, he's not a leaper, but he just didn't get there.
Yeah.
He can jump high enough at 7 feet tall if he can start from underneath, but he's trailing the play. So he was late to the party, and the pass is all-time. It's like we talked earlier. it's like a trick shot in horse. Yeah. It was going to go in.
Yeah, you shoot a shot from that, you putting a letter on somebody.
Okay.
You put a letter on somebody.
So I was going to go 9.5, but I'm going to dock it down to a 7.
Hold on.
Well, he cheated. You can't have an all-time great play.
How you make a 2.5 deduction?
He cheated.
Oh, my goodness.
What would you have said if they'd blown the whistle and called a foul on that?
That was some bull jive, Skip.
Would you say it's bull jive? Because then you'd look at the replay and you'd say, well, he grabbed his jersey.
No. Okay, but then we'll call it.
Did he not gain an illegal advantage going around the screen because he grabbed and pulled his jersey to impede his progress?
What about Zubac's running through Booker? Call a foul on that.
Okay. Well, what do you mean, Zubac's through Booker?
He ran through Booker.
On the play. Well, he got thrown into Booker because look at him. He just pulls him sideways.
Booker.
Yes, he did.
Skip, you got to get him at least.
Okay.
Skip, you got to get him at least an 8.
Is it legal to grab a jersey and hold it and pull it?
No.
No, it's not. So obviously, I can't go with this because they cheated on the play. They cheated to win the game. Well, they just did.
You ought to be ashamed of
It's blatant cheating.
You won't get a man credit, Skip.
I will because I told you there are elements of the play that deserve a 10, to tell you the truth. Because it's one of the all-timers to pull it off in the shock value of it. But then after I got to see one replay, I said, he cheated.
You do realize they
Didn't
didn't practice this, right?
Okay, they did not practice it.
Okay.
And you do realize that Cam Johnson was the first option on the play.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. One of your favorite team invented a play, the Hail Mary. Did Drew Pearson push off?
Yep, he did.
But you ain't deducted anything for that. You said officials didn't call it.
Okay, but that's like the Michael Jordan push. Did he grab his jersey and yank him?
He pushed the man down.
Okay. He did. It was a little push to get free. This is way before Jenny was even born.
What was it, 75? I think it was 75.
1975.
Thank you for that, Skip.
Yeah, and it was outdoors in Minnesota, and it was
way before
time. Yes.
It was cold. And listen, there are a lot of cold hearts left in Minnesota that night because that was the original Hail Mary.
Yes.
Named by one Roger Staubach, who threw it to one of the greatest clutch receivers ever, who finally got in the Hall of Fame. Thank you very much, Drew Pearson.
Yep. Contrary to what people think, Minnesota did used to play outdoors. I know they only remember the Metrodome, the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome and all that, but they played outdoors.
This was Bud Grant.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, and the Gophers still play outside, so we are tough in Minnesota. But I've gone back for a couple games on the sideline, and yeah, my blood is thinned a little bit, guys.
No mercy. Back down.
Well, the Suns and Clippers went down to the wire with an instant classic last night. With all the attention on Devin Booker heading into the game, Deandre Ayton was the hero with 24 points for Phoenix, including the game-winning alley-oop with under a second left that left everyone stunned. Phoenix was only down 1 at the end because Paul George missed 2 critical free throws with under 8 seconds to go there. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us now. Chris, you stayed up late for that one. It was worth it. What was the biggest reason the Suns won?
Jen, I hate to say this because obviously over a 48-minute game, there are a lot of factors that go into who wins and loses. And the guy I'm about to name was tremendous for the most part down the stretch. But there's no way around it. It is what it is. They won the game because Paul George missed those 2 free throws. It's as simple as that. Look, I get it. They're not in position to win if he doesn't score 9 points in the final 2:41. They're not in position to win if he doesn't go on a personal 6-2 run over like 40 seconds to give them a 1-point lead with 22 seconds left to play. But the fact of the matter is this. If he makes those free throws, you're an 85% career foul shooter, 89% in the playoffs this year. You're hot as fire, and you have a chance to push the lead to 3. If he hits 2 of them, likely if he hits 1 of them, we're not talking about the greatness of Deandre Ayton's dunk and the great pinpoint pass by Jay Crowder and the courageous screen by Devin Booker and the masterful play call by Monty Williams. We are talking about a 1-1 series that many would feel the Clippers really can win this thing without Kawhi Leonard, which is unfathomable. But, of course, that didn't happen because he missed. So It is what it is. Paul George has to own this. I like what he said at the end of the game.
What did he say?
You know, where he said, look, I'm not going to make too much out of it. That's all he can say. That's what he has to say to get himself past it for game 3. But this is going to be a tough one to get past because those 2 free throws cost him the game. At the very least, they're in overtime, and we see what happens there.
Well, I'm glad he's not making a bunch of it, but you made a lot about it, so that's good for me, though, Chris. I don't need him to make any more. And to see Skip Bayless just sitting over here squirming, talking about the referees cheated us out of a ball game, does me much pleasure today. But I thought the execution down the stretch, because if you look at it, Chris, look at what the Suns were able to do. Okay, Paul George hits his shot, gets the layup, gives them a 1-point lead. Devin Booker races down the court because in like 3-4 seconds. Here's the jumper. Now, Devin Booker had been struggling all night with his shot. So just think about that. He comes down the court without hesitation. Boom. Paul George comes back, hits a fadeaway. They're up 2. And if you're not mistaken, Devin Booker loses the ball out of bounds after Patrick Beverley makes a great play. They review it. They give the ball to the Clippers. Now you got to call timeout. They fall Paul George in the backcourt. Paul George. I was thinking this the whole way. I was like, Paul George going to miss these free throws. But you was like, you know what? I ain't have the courage. Skip said I ain't have the courage in my conviction. But I did have the courage on that second one. I said, he going to miss this one too. Hits in. And just like that, voila, because ball don't lie. Y'all got away with one earlier, Skip.
He went LeBron James.
Let's get this. Yep. Why you got to keep bringing up LeBron? LeBron ain't bothering nobody.
You bring him up way more than I do.
And so now, they get the ball. Skip's crying again, talking about the ball was off Deandre Ayton. Monty Williams designs a play, calls a play that they've never practiced. Think about the execution that's going to take. I mean, it's one thing to call something in a regular season game, Chris, but to call this in a playoff game with the game on the line. Because if you don't get this, it's over. You're going back to LA 1-1, and the Clippers are feeling very good. It's like mission accomplished. We split. We're coming home. We know how we play in our building. Considering the last time we were here, we were down 25, got the crowd in it, we won. That, and you look at the guy that finished that play, Deandre Ayton, and I thought Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne has 18 assists, 1 turnover in this series. 29 points last night. He's been phenomenal filling in for Chris Paul. And I told Skip this, Chris. If you look at Deandre Ayton, he's a different animal than what the Clippers have faced. Different than Porzingis. He's very different than Rudy Gobert. Because Rudy Gobert, you're not running any sets for him. You're not going to give him the ball and says, okay, Rudy, go do something.
And by the way, different than Boban. Yeah. I had to throw that in.
Yeah, very different than Boban.
All right.
But D.A. can get his own shot 12 to 15 feet. He's money. I mean, think about it. He shot 12 or 15 last night. So I thought that was the difference in the ball games. Those 2 guys, Cameron Payne and Deandre Ayton, and the execution down the stretch, because we've seen a lot of times guys draw plays or they're great calling plays out of timeout. They make great adjustments. But to make this, when you have and he tell him on the sideline, Skip, I heard him, he was mic'd up. He's like, hey, Jay, get it up there to the rim, and D.A., you're going to have to go up there and dunk it. Boom.
I thought you didn't listen to the sound.
I heard it last night when they when they replayed it.
Oh.
Nah. And plus, I got a little thing. See my memes I put up. You see that meme, me and you? Somebody put a meme up of me and you. Skip, I don't know who did that.
I don't know who did that.
I think I'm dunking, and I don't know. You might be Zubas.
I think, Shannon, you actually need to have Skip's permission to post these pictures.
Hey, Chris, I'm not sure. I think I'm Ayton. I think Skip
You need to
Zubas.
get some sleep and stop saying I'm late putting these pictures together.
Do I get any of the kickback?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, it is now my turn. The Suns won last night because the refs gave it to them, and it's as simple as that. I'm not crying. I am truth-telling, and I'm going to tell the truth one more time. I tweeted the truth immediately. You can check my timeline. That's off Ayton's hands. He's 7 feet tall, and I'm talking about the three-point miss by Bridges from the corner with 3 seconds left. The ball clearly goes off the 7-footer's hands along the baseline, and the ref who calls it is on the far side of the baseline and actually gets blocked out by a player and can't see it. Look at the ref who calls it up top. He gets blocked out by, I think it's Reggie Jackson. Yeah. and he calls it, and he can't even begin to see this play. He's the one who miscalls it. It's it's blatant, obvious, off the 7-footer's hands, and it goes out of bounds, and it's the Clippers' ball, and the game is over. And you can see Terrence Mann, who is a smart young man because he grew up in a coach's household. His mom's been a coach in college and pro basketball his whole life, and he jumps up and celebrates and claps his hands because he knows the game is over. It's whatever it is, 8 or 9 seconds left. All the Clippers then would have to do is just inbounds the ball, and as soon as it touches your hands, the game is over. There's no way the Suns can win the game if they make the proper call. And in my life of watching and analyzing NBA playoff basketball games, I have never been more baffled, more mystified, more dumbfounded, more flabbergasted than I was during the review time when the ESPN crew, and again, no, I'm not taking shots at them because I love all three of them. They are not good. They are great at what they do. But for once, I've never seen a play get more overlooked and underanalyzed than that one because they don't even refer to it during the review time. There were not multiple angles that we got to see on TV of, oh, well, you can see it clearly went off Ayton's hands. They don't even discuss it during the timeout in the review. They are only talking about, now what do the Suns do now that it's the Suns' ball?
Right.
And I am screaming at my television, it's not the Suns' ball. Let me see more replays. And the only replay we get is this overview, the one from way up top, where again, it's plain as night to me because it's nighttime in Phoenix, and boy,
I think Terrence Mann knocked it out.
He did not. It went straight off Ayton's fingertips. You can just see it. It's blatantly off the. He's 7 foot to 6'5", and he's the ball bounds high. It's blatant robbery. It's an all-time robbery because the referees got away with protecting Scott Foster, who's the crew chief, right? Yeah, I think he was last night. He was. And they go over and huddle and say, well, we could make a case that, well, let's protect ourselves here. Let's stick with the call on the floor. And they have a shot of Terrence Mann in the sideline huddle when they announce that it's the Suns' ball. Right. And Terrence Mann is like out of his mind looking around like, what are you doing?
Y'all ain't got every call.
I don't care. That's the call. That's the call. That changes everything. That makes the series 1-1. I'm sorry. It's so blatant that it's all-time robbery, and it knocks out everything. It wipes out the 2 missed free throws. I give you that. But Paul George was all-time great in that 9-point salvo from 2:41 down to 20 seconds left. He was so
What about the other 45 minutes before that?
Okay, well, he's having a bad night like Trae Young had back in Game 7 when he was 5 of 23. But all I heard about was he sucked it up and guttered it up in the fourth quarter, and he made a jumper and a runner and a logo 3. Way to go.
He was perfect from the free throw line, had 11 assists, and they won the game.
All right, fine. Well, look who led the Clippers in scoring last night. Paul George. Who led them in rebounding? Look at it.
Yeah, but he took all the shots.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he had a poor shooting night, but when it was time to make one, when he was 0 of 7 from 3, he clutched up. When it was time to make a 22-footer to cancel out Devin Booker's jump shot, he clutched up.
What about the 5 missed free throws?
Okay, he made 2 free throws at 56 seconds left, but you don't give him any credit for that, right?
That's how we do it. That's
I got it. Here. So he barely missed the first one, and he overcompensated and back-ironed the second one.
Go ahead, Chris.
Even if you're right, and you're right, from that angle, it's hard to tell who it was out on. No. Even if you're right, though, what would have overridden that is if Paul George had hit the 2 free throws.
Okay, but you're looking at it upside down.
Now, yeah, they got a chance to hit a three-pointer, but we know the likelihood of them doing that is probably slim. So the 2 free throws have to be the main reason.
Okay, but I can also argue back to you that this wipes the slate clean. All you need is the one correct call. And again, I showed you Scott Foster. He gets shielded by Reggie Jackson walking in front of him, clear up the baseline. And that's who made the call.
Yeah.
How can you make that call? You can't even begin to see who that's off.
Chris, did you remember the call that they called on Devin Booker on the offensive foul on the layup? When Kane Fitzgerald is at half court, he makes that call.
Yes.
Or when they review, they didn't call a foul. They just go to the replay to review to see if it's a flagrant and say, well, we didn't call it. Well, it's an offensive foul. You can't do that. That's not what replay is for.
Okay, but that call that I'm talking about is the call. And then insult to injury on the final dunk call. I'm going to bring it up one last time. Ayton reaches out and grabs Zubac's jersey and yanks him back so that he can get around Devin Booker's pick to get completely free to go to the basket. He grabs his jersey. I mean, it's just a blatant, it's a foul.
Zubac was holding him.
He was not
yes,
holding
him.
He was
Go back to the top. You can look at this. Skip, that's
He's
a
not
push.
holding him. It's not. He's just.
Good job.
Hey, reached out, grabbed a hold of his, got a fistful of jersey and impeded his progress. It's a blatant foul call that they did not have the guts to make. And I get it. There's no Kawhi Leonard. He's gone for the playoffs. So what does the league need? The league needs Phoenix to advance to the finals because we have an emerging superstar in Ayton. We got CP3 back, and obviously Devin Booker has arrived as maybe the best shooter in basketball.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Way to go.
But, Skip, how many, I mean, I don't agree with what you said about the Ayton foul because they're both kind of grabbing each other.
Grabbed his jersey.
But we could go back to Jordan against Utah. We could go back to Kareem against Lambeer and the phantom foul call.
Okay, but Chris.
I mean, if we start doing this.
Okay, time out. You know and I know the game was officiated very differently then because you could hand check and hand fight. And so, yeah, Jordan had a little push off on Brian Russell. I got it, but that's the way the game was played. He didn't reach out and grab his jersey and throw him off, right? Hey, if you grab jersey, that's a foul. In any era, that's a foul.
Skip, they called a foul on Jay Crowder because they say he hit him before Paul George charged him. They called one on Devin Booker. They said he hit him before Paul George fouled him. Now, look, I didn't like the officials. I thought the officials were too involved. And anytime you put Scott Foster and Kane Fitzgerald on the same team, they're going to interject themselves. They want you to know that they were officiating a game. So they're going to interject themselves. But at the end of the day, we withstood all of that and got that dub up 2-0.
We
2-0.
Now you're on the Phoenix bandwagon?
Suns, baby. Rising, Suns. We rising. We rising, Chris. The Suns, baby.
The Suns are about to get sunned on Thursday night.
Oh, we already got 2 cases. He gave me 2 cases that the Clippers going to win on Thursday.
Yeah.
No mercy.
Chris Paul missed the first 2 Suns wins over the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, but may see a return in L.A. According to reports, CP3 is hopeful to return for Game 3 as long as he clears the league's health and safety protocols. So Chris Broussard, still with us. Chris, if CP3 returns tomorrow night, is this series over? Simple as that.
Well, Jen, you know I've learned not to count out the Clippers. All right, after Dallas, I counted them out 0-2. After Denver, I all but counted them out 0-2. And after Kawhi, I definitely counted them out. So I'm shocked that they're here. So I can't say they have a 0% chance to win this series. I won't bury them right now. But with or without Chris Paul, I only give them 5 to 10% chance to win this series. The positives are this. That they already have done it. Paul George said last night, look, we're confident because we've done it before, and he's right. When you can look back and say, look, we've been here, all right? And we've been here against Luka. We've been here against, Donovan Mitchell. We can come back. So they've got that going for them. They've already rewritten history because no one else in the history of the league had ever done it. They've got the fact that Ty Lue, as a coach, and who hasn't coached a lot of years, he's done it 4 times. He's come back from 0-2 deficits 4 times, most notably, of course, in 2016 when Cleveland came back and beat Golden State after being down 0-2 and 3-1. So Ty Lue can say he did it. And then they've got this going for them. They haven't been manhandled. It's not like, now we may say Phoenix looks like the better team, but they haven't been manhandled. This is not like a mismatch.
Right.
And actually, the Clippers can tell themselves, we could be up 2-0. So that's what they have going for them. But I still don't think it's likely to do this 3 times in a row. They're facing some things in Phoenix that Dallas and Utah didn't have. Dallas and Utah their offenses were largely one-man shows. Luke and Donovan would give you between 30 and 45 points or more, and they would set everybody up a lot of the time, case. So it was easier to stop a one-man offense because they're setting everybody else up as well. Phoenix, man, they move the ball.
Yep.
They're not based on one player. Obviously, they're missing Chris Paul, and they're still very good. Devin Booker goes 5 for 16, but DeAndre Ayton is there. We know Jay Crowder and Mikal Bridges can step up. Cam Johnson hit some big shots, and now you got Cam Payne playing like he's an all-star. You know, so they have a lot more. They're more athletic, and DeAndre Ayton, and you guys said it, obviously gives you things that Gobert and Boban don't give you. But I've said this. Now, of course, I'd rather have Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic. But in many ways, DeAndre Ayton is like a prototype big man for today's NBA. A prototype 7-footer because he can get out on the perimeter and guard. He's athletic enough to do that.
Yep.
He can protect the rim.
Yep.
You don't have to run a lot of plays for him, and to get you 20-something. He's efficient, and he can finish around the hoop. Not just layups and dunks, but he's got a package, you know, around the basketball area. So he's very good. So I think that 5 to 10% chance that the Clippers can come back in this.
Well, you know, Skip, in Mark Anthony's speech, he says, well, you know, I'm not here to praise, I'm here to bury. Well, I'm not here to bury the Clippers, but I'm not going to praise them either. I've learned my lesson like you, Chris.
So flipped around.
Yeah, I flipped it around. You know, he came to bury him. He didn't come to praise him. If he was an honorable man, he would, you know, Skip, you know the thing.
I know it.
Yeah, you know, I had to
Yeah.
I got an A on that. I had to say that in front of the class one time.
You didn't get A's very often.
I didn't get them out very often, but, you know, something I can remember.
You got A's on Shakespeare. Who knew?
Just that part of Shakespeare.
Okay.
Skip, when you look at the Clippers, I learned I'm like, man, they got him. Dallas got him. Dallas beat him. I said, oh, yeah, Dallas going to get him. Dallas ain't get him. I said, oh, Utah with Donovan back, the way they shoot them threes, I said, Utah going to get them. Jazz ain't get them. But this is a different animal. Because if Chris Paul comes back, now, as Chris said, you got Book that gets to go back to his natural, what he does really well, which is score the basketball. Because there's a reason why he only has 1 triple-double in his career, and it came in game 1 of the playoffs, game 1 of the finals, is because that's not what he's best suited for, is to play make. Because think about last night, Chris. Of the 8 turnovers they had, he had 7 of them. So now he's not in a position. That's not what he does. He's not a facilitator. He's not a playmaker for others. Let him score the basketball. Let Chris Paul, let Cameron Payne handle that. So now you got Book back to his original schedule programming. You got CP3 coming back to do. And this thing is, their 3 best players are not 3. Now, Book and CP3 can shoot the 3, but they're all about the mid-range. They're all about getting to the basket. And so now Utah, Dallas, they're dependent. Make a bunch of threes. Well, what happens when the threes are not falling and you ain't got a guy that you can post up? You can't post Rudy Gobert up. Really? You try to post up Boban? D.A., I can run plays for him. I don't necessarily have to. And then Chris Paul. Ooh, he's so close. Chris and Cliff. Both of them close to the finals, Chris. They right now. Oh, you in a heap of trouble. You better call Jake.
You give me 5?
Nope, I gave you 2 for 2 cases.
Well, have some guts.
I ain't got no guts.
For once in the history of this show, just have some guts.
I'm a Terminator. I ain't got no guts.
Just say, come on, I'll give you 5.
No.
I deserved 5 last night, and I would have won another case.
I know you would have.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm going to get this thing down. I got to get it to under 20 for football season.
So, speaking of Julius Caesar, which you referred to, what happened to Julius in the end?
They did it wrong. You know what happened.
He got assassinated. He got literally stabbed in the back because he underestimated Brutus.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Et tu, Brutus.
Et tu?
Et tu. That's the Clippers. They're Brutus. You keep underestimating the Clippers. You do. And now you're up on your high horse. You're just in all your glory today. And you're starting to do just what you did after the first 2 Dallas games. Lucas, baby bird, we got this. And you got it up 30-11 on a Friday night in Dallas in game 3. And then what happened?
That hurt.
Brutus happened.
Yep.
What happened in game 4? Brutus happened again. And what happened when Donovan Mitchell was on top of the world? He's unstoppable. He was stoppable in games 3 and 4 at Staples. Brutus got him twice.
But y'all ain't got Kawhi now.
I give you that. But we also have you right where we want you.
Oh, you do, huh?
We are down 0-2, and we are being mostly written off by, to a certain degree, Chris Broussard, and to every degree by this man right here. He fears them, but now he can't help himself, and he says, basically, it's over. Because if they fall down 0-3, it's done.
Yes.
Even I will be the first to say that's enough of that. And I give you no Kawhi. So it's very different than those two games at Dallas, 3 and 4. And it's very different against Utah at Staples in games 3 and 4. Because in those games, Kawhi Leonard scored 36 and 29 at Dallas and 34 and 31 against Utah at Staples. He averaged 33 and 9 rebounds in those 4 huge games in which they turned the series around to 2-2, right?
Right.
So best player is gone. Maybe the third best player, Marcus Morris, he was hobbled last night. He tried to give it a go. Chris and I have agreed all year they tend to sort of weirdly go as Marcus Morris Sr. goes. He went south last night, 3 of 11, right? You looked in the first quarter, he was 1 of 6. Where are you, Marcus? And yet, they hang in. They hang on. I don't know how they do it. It starts with the head coach.
That's how they do it.
Because he never lets them see him sweat. He doesn't sweat. There's no panic. There's no finger pointing. There's no blame deflecting from the head coach down. We got this. We've been in this place before. We'll figure it out. Okay. And what I saw last night, which was extraordinary that I did not see coming, Patrick Beverley did a number on Devin Booker. And finally, he did a physical number because they accidentally headbutted, and Devin took it right in the schnauzer, right? He got it right, and it busted it. It looked like a broken nose to me.
So he's probably going to have to wear a mask. He's going to probably have to mask up for the next game.
He might have to, and he probably won't love that. But Patrick Beverley not only gets under his skin, he just got him every way, shape, and form. He was all over him physically, and he bothered him. Again, you're not going to stop this guy, but you were all about 40 or more for a case, right?
Yeah, yep.
He got 20, and he got 20 the hard way because he mostly got it at the free throw line. Yep. 9 of 9. Give it up to, way to go, Devin. But the point is, they found something with Patrick Beverley on Devin Booker, and if they'll exploit it, if they'll let Patrick play 30 minutes this time. Again, Rondo's been pretty good. He's made a couple threes, but Patrick Beverley's been making clutch threes in the fourth quarter. He made 3 in the closeout game against Utah in the fourth quarter. So I'm starting to trust a shot that he has that's never been that trustable. So if you add all that up, just the Clippers' resilience, just the cardiac Clippers that they are, I like them a lot in Game 3.
Well, now, Skip, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to guard Book because Book's going to be running off screens because he don't have to worry about playmaking.
Okay.
Now he has CP3, so now they're going to be running a lot of screens.
Okay, we'll see about that, which brings me to my final point. Cameron Payne has been a revelation for Phoenix. And Chris, I reminded Shannon earlier, once upon a time, back in 2015, he was the 14th overall pick in the draft. Well, that's pretty great out of Murray State. And he's finally starting at age 26 to live up to it because he's explosive. He's lightning quick. Paul George was having a hard time in the fourth quarter staying in front of him because he's just not that. At 6'8", Paul's just not that quick. He's long, but he can't out-quick him. So my point is, I got nothing but respect for Chris Paul, and I'm not saying Cam Payne is better than Chris Paul, but right here, right now, after Chris has been off for 11 days, I kind of like it that you're going to have to reinsert him into the starting lineup playing big minutes.
No problem.
Let him play 35, reduce Cam Payne's minutes to 15, and I say advantage Clippers.
Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Tom Brady been out 3 weeks. He comes back. You going to be hesitant to put him in if the backup played well?
Okay, but that's football versus
the quarterback.
basketball.
There's a quarterback here. He the best one.
Well, you just went to the GOAT.
No, that's good.
We're talking about Cameron Payne and Chris Paul.
I'm talking about Chris Paul being reinserted.
Okay, Chris Paul has played in 1 conference finals in his life and no NBA finals. And there may be a reason for that. Maybe we're about to see that.
But it might be a reason why we about to play in the NBA finals.
Okay, well, are you? I know the refs want it. I know the league office wants it. I got that.
Chris, can you believe this man? He's talking about the referees.
No, because Skip, look, I think the league has learned during these playoffs that it doesn't matter who's playing. The games are going, as long as the games are exciting, people are going to tune in because it doesn't matter. I'm going to give you a little more fodder, though. Chris Paul has himself been ahead 2-0 3 times in the playoffs and lost those series.
Okay.
So this has happened to Chris, too. So you know, I'm not burying the Clippers, but they're wobbly.
Yeah.
Their knees are buckled, that's for sure.
Oh, like were they shaking like Paul George last night at the free throw line? I thought somebody was knocking on my door.
Yeah. Speaking of Paul George and those shaky knees, did you see him shaking? Is that what exactly was happening? Can we actually stay talking about Paul George? Because I feel like after he missed that first one, no one was feeling confident about the second. Chris, stick around. I want a letter grade from Paul George from you next.
No mercy.
Saturday, it's a powerhouse showdown at Chavez Ravine as Chris Bryant leads the Cubs against Mookie Betts and the Dodgers, or it's one of the greatest rivalries in sports as the Yankees take on the Red Sox Saturday, 7 Eastern, only on Fox. Check local listings for the game in your area. Paul George led the Clippers in points last night with 26, but was 1 of 8 from beyond the arc. PG-13 also missed 2 free throws with under 8 seconds left that would have put the Clippers up 3. Instead, the Suns went down and took the lead with the Deandre Ayton alley-oop. We're going to keep watching that back over and over. Chris, please give PG-13 a letter grade for last night, his performance.
Come on with it, Chris.
Well, you guys were talking earlier about Shakespeare, and I took Shakespeare in college, but I also took calculus and economics. And the one thing I learned in calculus and economics was, those answers were long and drawn out. And you could, for half of the answer, 2/3 of the answer, you could be going fine, right? You think you're doing well.
Yep.
And you just go awry at one point, and next thing you know, the whole thing is wrong.
That's why I struggle.
I know what you're talking about, Chris.
That's Paul George. I get it. He was great down the stretch for the most part. But because of the 2 missed free throws, and I got high standards for Paul George. Paul George is a perennial all-star. He's all NBA. He's playoff P. He's probably a future Hall of Famer. He's the only star on the floor last night who's been through wars. He's been through wars with LeBron James and with Russell Westbrook by his side, and all of these wars he's gone through. Devin Booker, Deandre Ayton, they haven't gone through those wars. So, and he shot 5 of 10. We know the 2 missed free throws at the end. But for him to go 5 of 10 from the foul line, it's an 89% shooter. So, and then 1 of 8, of course, from 3. I might be being kind by giving him a D. A D.
A D? You're being kind?
Yeah, kind.
A D. I mean, Skip, I've watched you for 20 years. 20 years. Look at a guy. Does he need to go nameless? I think we all know what I'm talking about.
We don't call names.
And
we don't call names.
Awesome for 47.
Thank you for bringing him up.
47 minutes. LeBron James. Awesome. LeBron James. 47 minutes and 49 seconds. He could be awesome. He could be Jordan-esque and then some. But miss a free throw, just 1. Or miss a 3-pointer. And he blew the game. So come on. We got to be consistent.
Thanks for bringing up Lagon.
Paul George, the 2 free
He needs
throws.
a little attention because he doesn't get any here lately.
Override everything.
Yep.
Well, you know what? I gave him a D-, Chris, because old polyester P, because he going to shrink when the heat's on. You know what polyester do when you heat it up, Chris? He know about it too. He got all his. He started dating Ernestine, and he got him some new gear. But he had polyester before Ernestine came along. Don't let him fool you, people. Hold on, Chris. I'm with you. The first 45 minutes of the game, Paul George is 7 of 20, 0 of 7 from the 3. That's an F. Now, for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, he scores 9 points. That's an A. In the final 10 seconds, he missed 2 free throws that would have, at bare minimum, caused it. They could either won the game or, at worst case scenario, you're going to go to overtime. And he clanked. I mean, the first one was short. I thought that was Ben Simmons. I said, well, when did they sign Ben Simmons? Oh, that's Paul George.
That's funny.
Playoff P. Yo,
you should be a comic.
Actually, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about going to the Laugh Factory as soon as I get working on some material right now. But hold on. Chris, what was he doing all that chirping? Oh, they was on me. I'm on their neck. I'm on their neck. Because, they thought it was sweet the way I was struggling last year. Okay. I think it's even sweeter now. You see? Doing all that yapping. Yeah. And look at, Boogie cousin shoved D Book. You saw Patrick Beverley. He wanted to dap up. He wanted to dap up D Book because he thought he with it. Everybody doing that yakking. Oh, and D Book. I saw Patrick Beverley. You saw him too. D Book. Hey, D Book, slap your boy hand. And then all of a sudden, it got quieter in church, man. I could hear a rat peeing on cotton. It was quiet in that thing. Hey, Pat Bell. Hey, Pat Bell, talk to your boy. He ain't had nothing to say. Your day coming. I keep telling you, your day coming. And I believe it's going to arrive on Thursday.
Give me 5?
No.
Why not? Have some guts.
Paul George got
to talking over there, but you got to put your due where your mouth is.
D-minus.
Huh?
D-minus. I won this off of you.
I'm up 32 cases. How did you win that off me?
I won that off of you over the weekend. Celebrate parlay.
So let's put this in perspective here. The player you tell me is the quote-unquote GOAT, who is still the quote-unquote best player on the planet, is named, I think, LeBron James. I don't know whatever happened to him. I don't know where he went, but that's who you tell me is still the GOAT.
Him and KD vacation.
And you say he is the biggest face on Mount Rushmore of the NBA,
Big
right?
face, yeah, to the left.
Now we are comparing Paul George to LeBron James. That's what you just did. So you put him in the same conversation, which is a huge compliment to Paul George.
No. What we did is that, hold on, Chris, you remember in the bubble when Dame Lillard missed those free throws? And somebody came on here that Monday and was yakking? You remember when Luka Doncic missed those free throws and somebody came on here yakking? No, we compared them to them. How about that? Now we can have that same energy.
I got the same energy because what happened last night is, in the end, Paul George went LeBron James because LeBron is simply the worst late-game free throw shooter in the history of the NBA when it comes to superstars. I can show you the stats. He has often run from the late-game free throw line because he wants no part of it, because you want to talk about LeBricking free throws. He's the all-timer at it. So I'll give you, Paul George went LeBron late in the game.
Nah, Skip. No, he did not.
But that's all I will give you, because now we need some perspective. We need some context. This is a man who in the bubble last year was shamed and ridiculed for melting down mentally and psychologically. He was ridiculed to the point he was called Pandemic P on the internet, and even you adopted that nickname and ridiculed him sitting in your chair often because you said he is so mentally soft and weak, he needed counseling in the bubble. He couldn't take it. LeBron could take it. They were there for 100 days or whatever it was.
They were.
Way to go, LeBron. And you got to play the 5th seed in the finals, minus 2 of their best players. Way to go. Congratulations. You get a cubic zirconia ring for that. So Paul George has to suck it up and come out of that and take all that you-know-what all year long from player after player, starting with one of the biggest trash talkers, Devin Booker, who was all in his ear all year about, you are soft. You folded. You can't take the heat. So given the fact that Paul George finally had a bad night shooting, given the fact that he was under extreme heat because there's no Kawhi Leonard and you are the man for the Clippers, what he pulled off from the 2:41 mark all the way down to 22 seconds left in that game was extraordinary for playoff P. I've never been prouder of playoff P because I got to show everybody those shots. One more time, we got to see him, because the first one comes with 2:41 left, and he is 0 for 7 from 3. And you want to talk about clutch? This cuts it to 3. That's a game saver. 56 seconds left. He goes to that free throw line willingly and makes both of them to cut the lead to 1. Then 30.9 seconds left. He drives it all the way through everything and gets to the rim to give them the lead by 1. And then the shot of the night. Is this not as clutch a jumper? This cancels out one by Devin Booker on the other end to give them the lead by 1. And I give you, he went LeBron at the free throw line late, but given that 9-point salvo in a matter of only 2 minutes time to put them right back in command, they went for nothing to everything thanks to playoff P. I'm giving him a B+ for that effort last night. Way to go, playoff P.
Chris, you also remember in the bubble when Dame Lillard missed those 2 free throws, who was on the sideline clowning? Talk about, I thought it was Dame time. Who was all on the bench with Patrick Beverley, keying. And now look at him.
Yep, he's an 85% career free throw shooter.
How you 85? So that means that got to be something got to do with that.
You know what? Paul George in postseason games has been money from the free throw line. He finally missed a couple. It happens. He's human.
No. Hold on. Chris, did that man say, so now somebody's finally human? So somebody is finally human now.
Well, Lagon's not human. That's what you're telling me.
Why you do this? Why do you get...
I'm just telling the truth. If the referees hadn't stolen it, well, seriously, we wouldn't even be talking about the 2 minutes free throw.
So now the referee stole the game from you.
Well, you know it and I know it. I just proved it to you.
Chris, get your man.
Skip, he's got to hit one. At least one.
Okay, but Chris...
At least one. That's it. Just hit one.
Okay, with 56 seconds left, did he hit both of them? Yeah.
No, but Skip, that don't matter.
Fine. It doesn't matter.
That's like a quarterback. You get them all the way back in the game. You get them the lead. The team goes down, kick a field goal to retake the lead. And you drive the field. Now you get an opportunity to win the game. It's kind of like what you said about Aaron Rodgers. If he was that guy, he'd have got right. If he was that guy, that's what you told me.
The guy who's 1-4 in NFC Championship games?
I don't know. So what's Paul George in championship games?
Well, he's always been the complimentary star, so it hadn't been all on him.
Think about it. Now he'll come. The guy that you Skip, you gave him the name George Paul. Mm-hmm. You the one made it.
In Indiana, I called him George Paul. Because I told you, he could not stand up to LeBron James with no help.
Okay.
He is complimentary at best. He is a 1A.
But can he stand up to Devin Booker?
Well, he did last night.
I just wanted him to stand up to Devin Booker.
No, he didn't. He did not, Skip, you know it.
How about that 22-footer to go back? He said no.
Terrence Mann saved his bacon on Friday night. You know that. Terrence Mann saved his bacon on Friday night with Reggie Jack.
Terrence Mann just did what he did if you give him an opportunity that Doc Rivers never gave him.
They talking about Doc. This ain't about Doc. This is not about Doc. Because Paul George blamed Doc last year. Now, I'm sure somewhere Doc Rivers' fault that Paul George missed those 2 free throws because he's running on flares and pin downs. So I get all that. So we're going to blame Doc, but this ain't about Doc.
So against Utah, Paul George in the fourth quarters, 6 fourth quarters, averaged almost 10 points a game. And last night, he did it again, another 10 points in the fourth quarter. And he's pandemic P. Thank you.
Polyester P, because he shrinks when it's hot. But let me ask you a question. What about the 5 for 10 from the free throw line? Now, you told me he's an 89% guy in the playoff. So how do you get to 50%?
He had a bad night. He had a bad night shooting it from...
Can't have that.
Okay, but when it was time, all I heard about Trae Young the other night was he's 2 for 16 going to the fourth quarter.
What was he from the free throw line?
He's 1 of 11
What was he from the free throw line?
Okay. He made his free throws.
Okay,
I give you that. But what happened? He couldn't hit the broad side of a Atlanta barn. What's your hometown? Glenville. A Glenville barn. He couldn't hit the broadside of a Glenville barn.
You do realize.
Right?
Yeah.
And what did he do? He finally hits a little jumper and a little floater and a logo 3, and everybody says, look at him. He had the guts to stand tall.
29-11. Let me ask you this. That's a 5 seed. You do realize they took down a 1 seed. Now, your guy right there, PG.
Yeah, well, right now we should be like a 12 seed. With no Kawhi Leonard?
Oh, we ain't got Chris Paul.
Huh. You're back in business.
I could handle Paul missing a jump shot.
Yeah.
Missing a contested drive in the way. You know, that happens.
Yeah.
Because the best shooters miss half of their jump shots. But 2 free throws?
Free throws. Skip said they're free. That's what you say. You say the term free throws.
They are.
Oh.
And he's one of the better free throw shooters in the league.
I can't tell.
And the Clippers set the all-time record for free throw shooting in a regular season.
I'm glad you said that. Now, what did you say that again? You say he's one of the best, and the Clippers set the record for the all-time best free throw percentage in the season.
They did.
So that makes it even worse than what you should have just kept that to yourself. So you mean to tell me a man that's part of the team that set the NBA record for free throw percentage?
Every once in a while, you're going to miss one.
No, you can't do. Oh, every once in a while. So LeBron not allowed to do that.
Well, he misses them regularly.
No, he don't.
He misses them so much, he would have run from that. Look, Paul George broke down into the backcourt to say, give me the ball, I want to get fouled. He was the one who wanted to go to the free throw line. LeBron would have gone and hidden up in the formation up in the front court.
Because now he got exposed. Now everybody looking at him. Everybody, what was trending last night?
Pandemic P, right?
Yeah, we're going to get it. Yeah, I told you. Skip Bayless, your day coming. It ain't no mercy.
Well, Patrick Beverley did his best to slow down Devin Booker last night. The two did collide and unintentionally butt heads in the third quarter that required a few stitches for Booker, who would return later. Booker finished the game with 20 points on 5 of 16 shooting from the floor. Oh, the replays of that. Ow, just looks painful. Shannon, please give Beverley a letter grade for the job he did on Booker.
I thought he did. I gave him an A, Skip, because I thought holding Devin Booker to 5 of 16 shooting when he had just gotten his first career triple-double in game 1 with 40, 13, and 11, and for him to come in. And Skip, look, I don't think the headbutt wasn't intentional, but when you constantly reach in like that and you clutch and grab, if they're not going to call it, you continue to do it. And he does a lot of that. He's very good at what he does. He's a little irritant, but give him credit. That's how he's carved out a niche in the NBA. That's how he's been able to last so long. He plays extremely hard. And I know you said you wanted to play 30-plus minutes, but it's hard when you play with that much energy on every single possession because he can't take a playoff skip when he's guarding Devin Booker because Devin Booker is a threat anytime he has the ball. So you can't relax. And he normally takes the toughest defensive assignment. He'll take that. Now, sometimes he's just too small. He's just too small for Luka. Luka's 6'8", too much weight. But a guy like Devin Booker that's a little taller than he is, but thinner.
But 3 inches. It's 6'5" to 6'2"-ish.
But Book doesn't know how to use that strength yet. He's going to get to where he can use that strength like what Jordan had, what Kobe had, where he knows how to get down on people. But I thought he did a phenomenal job. He did a great job. I didn't like the flop. But it's incumbent on the officials to call the flop and not go to the replay because you didn't make a call that, well, we're going to see if that was a flagrant foul. Oh, it wasn't a flagrant foul, but it was an offensive foul on Devin Booker. Give Patrick Beverley his credit. He did a phenomenal job considering Book had it going in game 1 and basically kind of single-handedly put them in position to win the game. And to hold him for 5 of 16, give Patrick Beverley his credit.
I'm going to give him even more credit because I'm going A+.
Okay.
In part because he won me yet another case of Diet Mountain Dew. Thank you very much, because you had Devin going, which I was a little concerned about, going 40+.
Yeah.
He got 20.
That's what I'm asking an awful lot, Skip, to get for a guy to go 40 back-to-back game. Only old GOAT can do stuff like that. GOAT, maybe, and Jordan. They probably the only two that do that.
I mean, Jordan is the GOAT.
No, I've said old GOAT, which is GOAT James,
I thought you were referring
and
to
Jordan.
Michael Jordan as you should have.
No, I did not.
Okay, back to Patrick Beverley. I found it astounding how effective he was on a great young player in Devin Booker last night, because oftentimes he does more with his mouth than his physique, like he just talks his way into talking you out of doing what you do best.
He talks you out of your game.
He does. But last night was more about just going at it, getting physical, and if we could see the one shot that he just flat out blocked, it's 3:29 left in the second quarter. This is Devin Booker. This is Devin Booker. Oh, this is the first one. That's the first one in the first quarter.
He blocked like a little jump shot.
This is a jump shot right here. He gets up and he got him. He actually got hand on ball.
Yeah.
This is 6'2" on 6'5". That doesn't happen to Devin Booker very often because he's got great lift on his jumpers. That's why he's so lethal, is he just rises and shoots it from its apex, and it's hard to bother it. And he got it. He actually got a hand on it. And I thought in the first play that we saw, he was upset about it because it's the drive shot. I thought he got all ball. You can argue there's a bit of body going on. Here it is one more time. But he got the ball.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't review that for a flagrant because he kind of hit him in his head.
I didn't see any flagrant.
Skip, why'd you hit him in his head?
Come on.
Yeah.
I thought you were old school.
Oh, not now.
Old school?
Not the way they call it.
That's all ball to me. I'm not even sure there's any body going on.
Yeah, he did. Skip, you saw the man hit the man in the head. I gave him an A. What you want me to do?
Okay, well, give him an A+, because then the rest of the game, we had the headbutt, and obviously it worked to Patrick's and the Clippers' advantage because Devin had to go for however many minutes it took, right? Half hour maybe of the game. He had to go get some stitches. I don't know if Patrick got any stitches or not. He went to the locker room, too, for a little while. But that's a pretty good trade, Devin Booker for Patrick Beverley, right? I'll take that. Okay. So then we had the late turnover that he forced, and I immediately tweeted, that ball is off Booker's hand, the late one that was right before the two missed free throws. If we could see the end, they're still, here's the late turnover. And again, he got all ball on this and kept hand on ball while Devin is trying to hold on to the ball and control it. It's out on Booker. I think they got that exactly right. You can look at my timeline. I tweeted, that's off Booker.
Skip. I mean, if you slow down, there's a lot. If the job is to get it right, why not review plays in the first quarter or the second quarter?
Well,
third quarter. If you try to, if the objective is to get it right.
I'm okay with that. I just don't like lengthy reviews because there are too many politics that get involved. And what is, what do they say from the league office?
Right, because they call it
they go back and forth. Usually you can take 2 quick looks at it, bingo,
right.
We got it. And that one was clear to me. The ball is still touching Devin Booker's hands as it goes toward the out of bounds.
Well, then, they did it right then. Okay. They took 2 quick looks and saw the ball. They went out of Terrence Mann and not Deandre Ayton. Gave the ball to the Clippers, and you know what happened.
I got a new secret weapon, Patrick Beverley on Devin Booker Thursday night. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Here we go.
If you're going to let the man headbutt him like Bobo Brazil, of course.
Yeah, maybe.
No mercy.
Tonight on FS1, the biggest soccer tournament of the year continues with group stage play as Thiago Silva leads Brazil against Colombia. The action-packed tournament keeps rolling tonight at 8 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. So things got a little chaotic last night after Deandre Ayton's game-winning alley-oop. The play still needed to be reviewed, 4 time left on the clock, but players were all over the floor, and DeMarcus Cousins could be seen shoving Devin Booker. So, Shannon, should Boogie be suspended for this?
No, I mean, everybody thought the game was over, Skip. It was just frustration. I mean, you're so close to winning the ball game. It's just like when people come on and, you're talking because they were talking in the beginning because they thought they were going to win, and then all of a sudden the Suns get the final say, and then now they're talking, and you're frustrated. And so if you suspend Boogie, what? He played 4 minutes last night, Skip. That ain't no trade. I mean, if Boogie could shove a Book and make Book react, and then Book gets suspended and Boogie gets suspended, like you said, that's a good trade. Yep. That's a good trade-off. Patrick Beverley for Booker. This is an even better trade-off. Boogie Cousins for Booker. So, Skip, I don't think maybe they might find him something like that, but I don't think they're suspended. I don't think a suspension is warranted. I just think it was a level of frustration because we're so close to winning the game, and maybe he thought, well, you know what, all I had to do was just take 1 step to the right and not give him the angle that I gave, and maybe I could have prevented this also. So there's a lot going on here, but I don't think a suspension is necessary.
I will not be shocked if he does get suspended only because of his track record.
Right.
3 times he's led this league in technical fouls, 3 times second in techs. Since he entered the league, nobody has been ejected more than DeMarcus has. 16 times he's been ejected. So it might be a message sent from the league office. Again, definitely a fine.
Right.
But he might be gone for the next game.
If they get in a fight, they get him fouls. If it's close, they're going to call an offensive foul on him. They're going to call an illegal screen on him. I don't know what it is, like you said, but it's his history.
It is.
He has a history, and all these referees ain't no first-year officials. All of them, Scott Foster, all these guys have had a history dealing with Boogie Cousins, and he's not getting the benefit of the doubt.
And remember, people don't know this maybe about Devin Booker yet. He's one of the best, most effective trash talkers.
Yes.
And trust me, he said something that pushed the deepest button in DeMarcus because DeMarcus is trying to be on his best behavior, and he could not help himself.
Yeah, I mean, we Kentucky, we boys.
Yeah.
We boys with the Kentucky.
Rondo was in the middle of it, so you got 3 ex-Wildcats, and they're going at it, right?
And the thing is, Skip, I'm looking at Rondo. Rondo's like, man, that's goaltending. I'm not so sure the players knew the rule that on the out of bounds.
Rondo was wrong about that.
Yeah, well, because Skip, I didn't know the rules. I ain't going to sit here and lie. I know internationals, you can goaltend and things like that and take the ball off the cylinder, but not in the NBA. But out of bounds, doesn't matter.
I just wish DeMarcus could have at least gotten a fingertip on the inbounds pass because he didn't even come close to it. And he's guarding the ball on the inbounds on Jay Crowder.
Takes 1 step to the right. Skip, he didn't jump. He just held his hands up because he just thought the ball was going to come over. He gave him a perfect angle.
He did. And if he gets fingertips on ball, maybe we're having a different conversation.
No, but he didn't. What he got?
And if the refs had called it correctly on the play that was off Aiden's fingertips.
Yeah, would you like to share,
you didn't win any last night. You didn't win a drop.
I'm just asking, would you like to share? Would you like to share a swing?
Would you like to give me 5 points on Thursday night's game?
No.
Yes, you would. Thank you. Done.
How many do...
Next.
Geez, the Mountain Dew situation over there. I might want some actually a bit later. I might have to get in on this.
No mercy.
We do have that other game tonight, Colin. So Giannis is 1 series away from reaching his first ever finals and can make a statement in Game 1 tonight against Trae Young and the Hawks. So Shannon, what's Giannis's line and what is the score for this one?
Skip, I'm more surprised when Giannis doesn't score 30 than when he does. He's just a walking, because he's so efficient, Euro step and the dunks. So I'm going to say he has a double-double, 30-30. It's 30-30. 30 and 13, 30 points, 13 rebounds. And I think the game will be close, but they'll end up pulling away. I think they win by double digits.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, somebody on the show has to support poor Atlanta, right?
There you go. There you go. So now you want to go against Giannis because
I believe that Atlanta will win one of these first 2 games in Milwaukee, but I'm thinking it's going to be Friday night's game 2. So I believe that tonight Giannis will not play with his food. He will eat his food.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm going to say 34, 15, and 5. I'm going to say Bucks roll 120 to 105. But don't underestimate little Maestre because he'll bounce back in game 2.
Where's Kadun? Where's Kadun?
I don't know.
You do know what
I know
Kadun is.
you're done. I don't know what Kadun is.
Kadun, you know KD? Kadun?
Oh, Kadun.
Yeah. Where is he at?
Oh, well, he's somewhere with Lagon.
Yeah.
That's where
my guy finished him off.
Really?
Yeah. Giannis. 30 and 13.
Your guy? He's now your guy?
Nope.
Your guy is going to let you down because he always does. Watch.
He get 30 and 13 tonight.
He shrinks. He's the polyester man.
He like Paul George?
Said
he made his free throws late.
and Lagon. We got all the names around here. That is it for Undisputed. Don't worry, though. We're back same time tomorrow morning with everything, all the reactions. The Herd is on now. Have a good one.